Hello, and welcome to episode 35 of Dunk's Movie Corner or Dunk's Movie Corner Pod or podcast, whatever you want to call it. That is what this is. My name's Dunk or Duncan. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. If you've stumbled upon this, if you're looking for a quick little ramble, a little bite-sized snack of a podcast, you have found it and don't stumble away. If you are new, this is a kind of a companion podcast to the Movie Bros, which is a weekly, more of a discussion. Two people rambling, bantering, discussing movies. It's myself and my brother Hayden. That is posted on Sundays. These episodes usually come out on Tuesdays. But if you're looking for more of any of that stuff, that's on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, all the places you can usually find these kinds of things. It's available, so I'd say hunt that down if you feel so inclined. And this is just, again, a quick little recap of what I watched in a week, either in TV, movie, limited series, anything like that. If you are, again, looking for something a little bit more meatier, check out the Movie Bros. But without further ado, let's just kind of get into it. I started this week with the 2024 Rebel Ridge. This was a Netflix recommendation, and usually that doesn't always work out. Usually they're not great movies if it's a Netflix movie. They just don't have the same quality, I think, as a not streaming giant. However, this was really good. I actually very much enjoyed this. So I rate my movies out of 5 stars, including half stars. I would rate this a very solid 4 to 5. I would say it's when I think of action movie, I think of like pretty constant, like Die Hard action. This is not. It's got action bits to it, but somewhere like a subgenre of that. It stars Aaron Pierre, who has not done a whole lot. He's becoming more and more prevalent. He just did the M. Night Shyamalan Old. He was in Mufasa, where they did another retelling live action CGI of The Lion King. And he's also set to star in the newer DC Comics Green Lantern show. And originally I was like, I don't really know how I feel about this. But again, after watching this and how he portrayed his character in this, I'm actually genuinely looking forward to it. Like, I liked him a lot in this. It's him kind of versus Don Johnson. If you're an older crowd, I mean, he's been around forever. He was born in like 1950. It's like a crooked, small town sheriff. He was in Knives Out. He was in Django. He's been around. Either way, it's kind of them versus each other, and it's really good. I don't want to spoil too much. You can find it on Netflix. Yeah, very solid to start the week. From there, I rewatched the 2008 Brothers Bloom. This is like a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's underrated. This is Ryan Johnson, the guy who did Looper, Glass Onion, Knives Out, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and this is earlier on in his career. This is 2008. This stars Adrian Brody, Mark Ruffalo, and Rachel Weisz. Wise, I can never say her name last name right. The chick who was in The Mummies, was married to Tom Cruise, is no longer married to Tom Cruise. Adrian Brody this year just won a Best Actor for his portrayal in The Brutalist. Mark Ruffalo, I mean, I feel like he's been around forever. I mean, Shutter Island, Poor Things, all the Avengers movies, Zodiac, Spotlight. He's been around. This also, as I said, I think is underrated. It's kind of it's like a fun, almost, it gives me like gypsy European con man vibes. It's kind of hard to explain. There's not a ton of point. Like, it's an enjoyable kind of watch. If you've never seen it, I would say definitely give it a chance. I believe I watched it on Amazon Prime, so I'd say check that out. Yeah, so that was a very solid 3.5 out of 5. From there, I jumped way back to 1997. To preface this, I think I've seen this before. Parts of it felt familiar, but maybe either A, it's been, over 20 years, or I've never seen it actually. I watched the animated Hercules, like the Disney one. That's, the great voice acting from people like Danny DeVito, I mean, that's who else do you really need beyond Danny DeVito? But who else is in this? Tate Donovan, James Woods as Hades is great. Oh, dude, Meg. That's I can totally see if I was like 6 or something watching this in in the early 2000s, be like, oh, she's a babe. I liked it. Again, granted, it's only 93 minutes, start to finish, so there's not a whole lot to it, but I don't know. For some reason, maybe either I remember it differently or just had an idea that this was different. But the songs were not as catchy as I thought I wanted them to be, especially for that time period where the songs were such a very important part of that like 2D sort of 3D animation. The whole Zeus being this kind of benevolent dad who misses his son, I always find funny because if you know anything about mythology, Zeus was like this huge asshole fuckboy who would just go around pretending to be immortal, a mortal, not immortal, and sleep with a bunch of women and cheat on his wife. And Hercules is, it's just yeah, it's funny that they portray him in such a positive note when again I know it's a kids movie, but he's definitely not a good guy. So lots of fun. I don't know if I need to rewatch this for quite some time. It's not my favorite animated movie, but I'm glad I've either sort of quote unquote rewatched or watched it for the first time. So 3.5 out of 5, not bad, not amazing. From there, so this has been on my watch list for ever, and I always put it off because it's such a long movie. But it is like the one of the like classic movies. It's called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This is from 1966. This is from Sergio Leone. This is like the first uh, Clint Eastwood Western. Uh, it's iconic, I will say that. It is, and I planned, okay, I'm gonna watch a third of this today, a third of this another day, a third of this another day, because again, it's like almost 3 hours. I was actually so interested because it's actually really good that I ended up just watching the whole thing and burning, 3 hours of my day. But that's okay, especially this last week, today excluded, because today is Tuesday and it's beautiful out. Like this feels, I feel like all parts of me is firing on like I feel so much better because of this weather. But this last week has been really gross, just constant rain. So I was just kind of stuck inside with the dog watching movies. But it does surprisingly move at a pretty good pace again, considering the runtime. And because I didn't know a ton about this prior, besides, oh, this is like a staple of cinema. This is Clint Eastwood as the classic western. I didn't realize so much of it was tied to the Civil War and like the fallout of that, and it's three dudes racing to find this buried money, and they keep running into like little like remnants of the Civil War happening. It was actually really interesting. Um, so yeah, I would probably call that more close to like a 4 to 4.5 out of 5. No, maybe not a perfect movie or my favorite movie, but very good. I see why it has such a high standard. Will I? I think after again that was on Amazon Prime. I will probably get around to watching. I don't know if they're in straightforward sequels, but I think they star the same character of Clint Eastwood, where it's a fistful of dollars and a few dollars more. I think are the two movies that the director made after this, but I would say I'd check that out. From there, I watched. Let's see, I watched or rewatched Fargo. Very good. There's a reason why I think it's got again very solid reviews and critical acclaim. Uh, I would call it a very solid 4 out of 5. Steve Buscemi is so funny. Is so goddamn funny. Um, William H Macy, sure, he's got his moments, and all the like very heavy uh, Minnesota accents on just every. It's just super good. Um, if you've never seen it, I'd say check that out. I believe that was also on Amazon Prime. And that, well, I think, okay, that was a real quick rundown, but that was the roughly 5 movies that I watched this week. Of course, I'm also sprinkling in the Batman animated series. I finished Nobody Wants This list last week, and I started as of last night. Uh, I got halfway through an episode. I don't know if I'm going to give it more. It's just not the same. I'm trying Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, like TV show, limited series, whatever you want to call it, about Lord of the Rings that Amazon is producing after they bought the rights. It's pretty, but it doesn't have the same vibe yet. Maybe I will probably at least give it one full episode, maybe two, but I'm not sold yet. I am also slowly watching with my dad. It's a show on Netflix called Senna. It's about Ayrton Senna, the F1 race car driver. It's a dramatization of his life. Obviously, there's several documentaries, and if you don't know this about me, I don't know, several years ago, I got really into Formula One. I think it's really interesting, all the both on track and off track stuff. So if you've never seen Drive to Survive, I'm also watching through that right now. That's really good. That's very enjoyable. So if you're new to that kind of sport, I'd say definitely check that out. There's a reason why it's kind of blown up in the last several years. But that I feel like is everything I watched, either TV, movie, limited series. If there's anything on that list that you think you disagree with or agree with, or would recommend something based off what I've watched this week, tell me. You can find this podcast on Instagram at Dunk's Movie Corner Pod. Again, it's on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and YouTube now, I believe, if I did all the technical side right. If you are looking forward to next week's Movie Bros, which I believe, let's see, we record tomorrow, edit. So that'll be coming this Sunday. That'll be Mickey 17. We're going to the movies tomorrow to see it. And I've heard all kinds of, like, a huge spectrum of reviews for it. So I'm hoping it's good. And I'll chat with you about either that and all the other things I watch next week.